Welcome back to the Wise Practice Podcast. Today I have Jenny Melrose on the show. She is a business strategist and host of the Practice for Profit podcast, where she helps entrepreneurs turn inconsistent income into sustainable CEO level growth. She specializes in helping solopreneurs simplify their strategy, focus their metrics that actually matter, and build businesses that support their life, don't consume it. Jenny is known for breaking down complex ideas into clear, actionable steps that create momentum without burnout. Jenny, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about this conversation.
Yeah. Well, today we're going to kind of talk about passive income, creating businesses for therapists, which you're an expert on and have done with many people. But before we get into that, I love just like getting to know you. So tell me a little bit about you, where you're located, what you're into, family, whatever you want to share.
Yes, no, absolutely. So I'm originally from New York. I have now lived in North Carolina for almost 11 years and got the biggest snowstorm just this past weekend that I've ever seen, even growing up in New York. 11 inches of snow. So it is like shut down the area. I'm just north of Charlotte, and I have two daughters that are still asleep. Thank goodness for this interview because they are in seventh grade and 10th grade. And they will not be interrupting because they will still be sleeping.
Wow. Yeah. Mine are 9 and 12, and I'm starting to notice that sleeping in part. And I'm in Savannah, and we just had snow for the second time consecutive years.
Yes.
Well, in the first time in over 100 years that we've had 2 days, 2 years in a row. I'm saying this all wrong. More coffee needed. But anyway, I was like, whoa, like over 100 years, and. But yeah, so I'm seeing them sleep in, and they definitely slept in when school was out yesterday. So I hear you. It's funny.
Yeah, definitely.
We did our last summit in Charlotte, not 2 summits ago. Whew, the Wise Practice Summit. I host a conference every year, and I love Charlotte.
It's a
In
beautiful
fact, I'd go
city.
back there. Yeah.
Yes, it's one of my favorite, absolute favorite places. It's
Mm,
the weather is great, the people are so friendly, and the area is booming. So it's just
yeah.
wonderful.
Well, wonderful.
Yes.
Well, Jenny, tell us a little bit about how you got into the world of working with therapists.
Yes. So I started off actually as an inner city school district teacher. And as a teacher, I started back in 2009. So back when dinosaurs pretty much roamed the actual internet of things that actually existed. I started a food blog, and that food blog replaced my teacher salary. And I was then able to leave teaching. We moved from New York down to North Carolina. And I was working on that side of my business full time. And what ended up happening is I was getting asked constantly, how did you leave teaching? How did you replace a $75,000 salary with something that you're solely doing online? And so I started speaking around the country. And at that time, I had itty bitties. They were 2 and 5. So it was really difficult to be traveling all the time and speaking. And every time I'd come back from conference, I would get asked so many questions that I wasn't able to answer in person, or that they wanted so much more information. So I said, you know what? I'm going to lean back into teaching, and I'm going to create a course. And I have a course called Blogging Business Pro that actually teaches business owners how to create a blog that's going to be able to help them get found, rather than trying to work on social media and just be more or less screaming into the void. So I was able to then turn around. Once we launched that course, I also started my podcast, Practice to Profit. And that podcast I have had now for 10 years. And I sold the food blog back in 2019 for 6 figures because I realized that my true calling was being able to educate people. Master's in
Mm,
education. I love working with women, and I especially love working with therapists. Before I went to go get my master's in education, I was supposed to get my master's in social work. And I
oh,
cold feet and kind of turned into the more normalized route for at least my family. I came from a family of teachers. So turned and got a little nervous, but I love my therapists, the hearts that they have, the impact that they make on this world is so important to me. And to be able to help them get that message out there and help more of them without needing to be in the actual therapy room is my true calling. I absolutely love it.
mm, I love your story. I have so many questions, but the one that I feel like is the most important
Mhm.
is, what was your best blog? Like, what got the most traction? Because I want to know what that food was.
Oh, goodness, that's such a good question. Actually, it's my turkey recipe.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
Nice. That's so interesting. I mean, you basically just started a hobby, something you were just interested in, and you wrote, and it got so good. And of course, I'm sure you have a lot of skills you teach in your course that now it's something, and you sold it for six figures. Wow.
And it's still out there today. It's some of the pictures are still mine. Some of it has adjusted. Part of the agreement, of course, to sell it, which some of the stuff had to stay. Yes, it was an adventure because at that time I was a new mother. 2009 was when my first was born. So I actually had started the blog, like you said, as a hobby because I kind of lost myself as a new mother.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
also kind of learning how to cook at the same time because she needed to eat and my husband wasn't home to do all the cooking. So it was kind of like it was a baby of mine. Even when I went to go sell it, it was kind of like this back and forth, like, oh my God, I'm really going to do this. I'm really going to sell this crazy thing that I put so much heart and soul into. But I knew I needed to pay attention to the education side of what I was starting to do.
Yeah. I bet every therapist listening right now is like, I wish I could do what Jenny did. Right.
They
Right.
can. That's the
They
crazy
can. Okay.
part.
So let's kind of walk through that process. I mean, I think most therapists, especially at the beginning, they don't know how to create passive income. They want it, they don't know what to do, or they have an idea and they don't know what to do with the idea.
Mhm.
So maybe let's start with, they don't know what to do. How would we start this?
Yes. So the first thing I would say is know your niche. Know who it is that you are best serving. So if you're going to specialize, whatever you're specializing in within your practice, whether it is faith-based healing from shame, or if it is officers that are dealing with their own marital issues, or if you are talking, it can honestly just know your niche. ADHD for itty bitties and they have depression because of it. Whatever your niche is, think about what would you provide your people outside of the therapy room so that they could handle what they're dealing with better. Whether that is a book, whether that is a course, a workshop. As a parent of an ADHD daughter who really struggled with understanding it was ADHD, even as a teacher, she had a lot of depression symptoms that were really scary to me. And bringing her to a therapist was amazing. But I felt like there were so many things that I could have been doing at home that he didn't know. And I wished she had resources for me. That's what you, as a therapist, want to provide for your people.
All right. I'm gonna ask you all the hard questions here.
Please.
So, what if there's already a lot of resources out there? How can their resource be found?
The first thing that I will say is that in a day and age where AI is huge and there's so many things out there that are AI generated, the difference between you and AI or you and a therapist that's been doing this and has digital products and been doing it for 5 years is you. People
Mhm.
want to get to know your own personality. They want to be able to connect with the person that you are. There's going to be some people that are meant for them and then others that are just not. So understanding like you bring something to the table, your voice, your stories, your personal experiences that you have had with your clients in the office, and then even potentially your own family situations can greatly impact the voice that you have and the way in which you speak to people. So that
Mhm.
would be my first thing. The next thing that I would say is like really start to figure out one, who that audience is, so that as you start to create content, and I'm not talking social media, as you start to create content, it can get found. And the way in which you would do this, if you were to start today, in my opinion, you have three places to start. Website, which a lot of you already have, right?
Mhm.
Article. Tell me about a problem that your people have and solve it for them. That's an article that you could have on your website. Two, you could create a podcast. A podcast is a great way to get found. People are constantly looking for that connection with your voice through the audio, but they're also looking for their problems to be solved. And then the third could be YouTube because YouTube is also searchable And it speeds up the process so much faster because not only do they hear your voice, but they also hear your mannerisms. They see you as a person. That whole idea of AI, it goes right out the window. They know who you are. They hear the stumbling in your voice, or they just see that you're a real person.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. I can't stand listening to a YouTube channel or a podcast where somebody is talking perfectly. That drives me nuts. I want that human aspect and that messing up, most certainly. I think about people I've worked with. I'm thinking about one in particular who worked with couples, and she created a course for
Mhm.
couples, right? But the problem was she couldn't get people to purchase the course. So she had spent all this time and energy on it, and then nobody did anything with it. So I have a really hard time getting therapists from this idea that they have that's really good, and they have a lot to give, to actually selling that product.
Yes. So you need to have an email list. That is the way in which you are going to sell it. And the way in which you have an email list is you provide them with something for free in exchange for their email address. So for that couples therapist that created a course for couples, I would say what's something you could give them, a checklist, a bunch of questions they could ask each other and go back and forth on, something along the lines of a guide where you'd be giving them a PDF, and in exchange, they're giving you your email address. And then you have these people and own that email address to be able to nurture with consistent content and to, and I know therapists hate the word sell, invite them to purchase a product. That's the way I've been learning to talk to my therapist, because a lot of them go, oh, no, don't say sales. I think of a used car salesman. And I'm like, okay, we will invite them to buy a product or service. And that's what you're doing. Because when you have a product or service and you know how to fix a problem, it is selfish not to share it, because now they're not able to actually have the transformation that your product provides.
Yeah. You're bringing up such a good point. We talk about this a lot when I'm doing caseload management, churn ratio, retention,
Mhm.
because really getting a client to keep coming in, it's not so much about you being a good therapist, it's about your ability to sell a product. You're selling therapy. And
Mhm.
therapists feel guilty about that. But it's what you said. It's like, I'm not forcing therapy on anybody. I'm actually helping people and inviting them to get better. And if I don't give them that option, they're not going to get better.
Yes. And no matter how much time you've spent in therapy, you can always improve. Let's be honest, if you've been married for any certain amount of time, you know that the relationship changes as your kids get older, as
Yeah.
you both get older, things change. So having therapy, like you said, it's not a sell, it's a, they're continuing to improve upon themselves and their relationship.
Yeah. So when someone has an email list, sounds like that's a pretty important part. I certainly agree. Do you have to get it to a certain place before you should sell something? And then, like, I would like to hear more about the nurturing sequence as opposed to the selling. Because just the other day, I got an email from someone. I was like, I haven't heard from her in a real long time. She's selling something, right? Because she isn't nurturing, she's just selling. So I'd love some feedback on that.
Yes, absolutely. So you got me on the nurture sequence, and I want to go back to your first question, but it's already gone out of my head
That's
because I
okay.
so want to talk about the nurture actual aspect of it.
Mhm.
So the nurture aspect is sending them educational information. So in the beginning, when we were talking, you asked about visibility, and I said podcasts, website, as far as blog content, and YouTube. Those are all nurturing. That's an invitation to just gain more information. That's a resource for them. So when you are consistently putting out content, that is something that you can email to your people about. And it starts with a simple email. It doesn't have to be a long email that has all of these different links. Like you have a YouTube video that's just come out and you talk about that maybe you're bracing because you're at perimenopause and you're in a weird stage within your couples and your relationship. Clearly, is where I'm at. So, because of that, maybe that's what you're talking about in that video. That's what you want to talk about then in that email. Are you struggling with feeling connected to your husband? Maybe you've gone through empty nest and all of a sudden your relationship isn't what it used to be. There's
Mhm.
some simple things that you can do to help your nervous system if you're in perimenopause to help you with it. Button, find out more. And it takes them directly to the YouTube video to go watch the content and gain the information and the resources. So that is part of the nurture. I always, and you said, I haven't heard from this person in a while. I recommend at a minimum you're emailing your list once a week. I
Yep.
also recommend that you're putting out content once a week. And again, blog, podcast, or YouTube. You can also do all three and repurpose. So you could start with a YouTube video, pull the audio, make a podcast, and then create a blog post from that actual audio. There's so many ways to, and it doesn't have to take forever in order to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we just started doing the podcast on YouTube recently. So I was like, I can't keep up and make videos. Let's just start putting the podcast on there. So that's been great. This is great. So my other question was about, does your list have to get to a certain number before I should start to try to sell anything?
I love that question. I'm so glad that you reminded me what it was. I would say you want your list at a minimum of 100 people,
Okay.
especially if you have a product that is over $25 that you are trying to sell. I think
Yeah.
if you're under 25, you can create that product, have it be a one-off workshop where you can actually figure out the interest level in the topics that you're talking about. Because part of the problem that I often see is that therapists will use very therapy kind of words. Like my therapist that works with officers will talk about hypervigilance. And the first time she said it to me, I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to tell me I have no idea what you're talking about. And she explained it as like, well, when the officer is like always on, like ready to go, looking at the door, won't put his back to the door. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And maybe that wife knows that word because she's been married for however long with an officer, but don't assume that.
Oh,
Use
yeah.
the language that they are looking for to solve the problem. Why is my husband always on edge? Any of these types of questions they be searching for. And that's the content that you create in order to pull them in. So when we're looking at, again, that product, like you don't really want necessarily to have something that's this big piece course that's going to be over $100 probably right out of the gate. You want to show them that you can give them a transformation, one through the freebie, and then from like a low priced, lower hanging fruit workshop that's going to give a piece of it. And then the course is going to be the full solution.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is so important. I just see a lot of therapists that don't grow their audience,
Yes.
and they have these great ideas, and I'm like, that's a great idea, but you got to grow that audience before you can get anywhere. And it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of money. Even a podcast, I mean, you have one, and you got to pay for every episode that you put out, unless you're going to do it all yourself. Let me tell you, I'm not doing it all myself. Plus, I wouldn't do a great job. But like it takes so much time and energy to get there. And I think people see where someone else is and they just forget that importance of building that audience and doing the thing and putting the content out there over and over again.
Yes. And I think the important thing too to also keep in mind is that a lot of therapists that have come to me have been told, put it on social media, like start on social media, go on Facebook, use Instagram, do the things on TikTok, and they're educating and they're doing all the things and they're getting followers and it's like immediate gratification. And then they're like, but they're not making any sales from that. Social media is not set up to make sales. Social media is
Yeah.
set up to keep them on that platform. And with the way that the algorithm works, that can be gone at any time. You can lose that audience, they don't see your content anymore, or a platform could shut down. So, really understanding like that's why I always start with those three pieces of content of YouTube, podcast, blog. Those are things you can control and they're searchable. Whereas
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram, they're really not searchable.
Yeah. I think it's so important. I have done some research on like clicks and followers and all that. And it's like your email list is going to sell things so much better
Yes,
than that. Okay, so I'm going to pick your brain in a selfish way now because
please.
I got you here on the show. Again, I don't really know when I'm going to air this show. It's going to be a little bit because I have some other things going on. But I actually wrote a book. Did you
Okay.
know? Did
I
you know I
was
wrote a book?
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Yeah, and I see you have a book. Well,
I
I saw it in your picture, but actually, before I tell you about mine, will you tell me about yours?
Yes. So I published my first book in 2020. It's called Influencer Entrepreneurs. And if anyone does some digging on my podcast, they will notice that that used to be what the show was called before it
Oh,
took from practice to profit. And when I started the Influencer Entrepreneurs, it was this idea that I really wanted to teach people that as a business owner, you could be an influencer. And it actually got switched and people took it as, I was talking about social media because I'm talking about being an influencer. And I was like, no, 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 I don't want to know, because you can't
Uh-huh.
build your business on rented property. Absolutely not. So we rebranded and totally changed the podcast to Practice to Profit. But the book came out in 2020, right before COVID. And it was this idea of being able to create visibility for yourself online. So came out at a really good time.
I know the irony of that, huh? Because you'd probably been working on it for a while.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. So I came out with this book. I have it here on my desk. It's called The Practice of Becoming. It's
Yeah.
a Lent devotional for faith-based practice owners. And I'll just say it happened real fast. But I went in, told everyone about my book launch.
Mhm.
And I was like, all right, let's see if this works, right? I got this passive income idea. Actually, I just really wanted to get it out. I didn't actually really think I'd make any money off of it. And I'm laughing at myself because, you get these ideas. I'm going to sell this many. I think I sold 3 books the day the book launched. Now, give myself credit. I didn't talk about it at all in advance because I barely got it done before the day I launched it.
Right.
And I printed it on Amazon. I didn't go through like legit publisher. I think I've now sold like 26, but I'm like, oh, like I have all these people on my email list and like it's only 15 bucks. Like, come on, people. So I'd love any thoughts, recommendations you have about it.
How do you continue to put it out in front of your people right now?
Today's Tuesday. Okay, I think today, the episode I recorded a while ago will come out about how I wrote a book. I think that comes out today. And then I have 2 more podcasts about Lent and like the experience of Lent, encouraging people to get the book so we can experience it together. I have had it on my email list a couple of times. I've posted on every
Wait.
Facebook. Mhm.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go back to, I've had it on my email list a couple times. What does that actually look like? It's in there as like a PS, like a drive-by quick, like here it is, whoops, and I'm gone.
I mean, I certainly had one that was just about the book,
Okay.
but it's been part of my newsletter every week since then.
Okay. So what I would recommend is a funnel, which I know you hear the word and everyone goes, ooh, that sounds awful. But all it is it's a sequence of emails that invites people to purchase the book. So they come in for your opt-in, your freebie that you're giving, a guide that's in line with the book. And then after that comes 4 emails that invites them to purchase the book by giving them an idea of what problems are going to get solved with it. So like your first email would talk about the problems that they're struggling with and how it can be fixed, and then invites them to buy the book. Your second email might be like a question and answer email that kind of walks them through a question about the pain point, whether it is faith-based, whatever it is that the product actually solves, so the book solves. So question and answer type email, but again with an invitation solely about the book. Your third email may be a testimonial from someone that has read the book. So and so has struggled with this, this, and this is what she found. And you give her a testimonial of that she has provided you with, invitation to buy the book. And then I would do one last one. Again, that goes back to like the pain point and the transformation and what this book can really provide them with. And leave it, then let that be just part of it. The thing that a lot of people don't understand is that years ago, I would tell people you need to see something, someone needs to see something 6 to 8 times
Yeah.
before they're going to take any action. That is nowhere near close to how many times I need to see it now, thanks to TikTok and Instagram and all of the crap that is out there. So it actually has become, they need to see something in 4 different ways. So platforms, YouTube, podcast, blog, and email. And they need to consume up to 11 hours worth of content before they're going to take any sort of action. And this is why it's so important to consistently, weekly be putting out content. And again, letting them know about the book as soon as they come on, so that when you have a podcast episode that references it, they're like, oh yeah, that's great. She talked about that in her email list. And now they're kind of like in with you. They know your voice. They know what you're all about. Now they may take that action.
Yes. So do you think that people will leave the email list because you've talked about the thing you're trying to sell for 4 weeks in a row?
Absolutely not.
Really?
In my opinion, if they do, that's okay. They weren't my people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing I struggle with is I have so many things I want to promote and that I'm doing. So maybe that's part of it. Because then I'm sitting here going, well, then I can't share about this cool idea I had about this with practice owners or whatever, because I'm just talking about the book all the time.
Yes.
Um,
Two solutions for that. First is make this an evergreen sales sequence that just naturally is happening over the course of 4 weeks. That way, you don't have to worry about, I can't send another email. I email my list 3 times a week.
I was going to say they would be getting 2 or 3 emails a week.
That's okay. My people, some of them will get 4 to 5. If they didn't open the first one because they were too busy, they'll open the next one. You have to remember people's inboxes are just, they're busy. It's not a matter of they don't care to hear from you. It's they're busy. They just got 11 inches of snow and their kids are climbing the walls.
That's right.
So you have to really think about, it's an invitation. It's not selling. So when you're looking at that, like really start thinking about that's just going in the background, that kind of like introduction to the book. And then you can still do your other things that you want to talk about. The second solution, and this is where my strategic growth plan that I'm actually offering to your audience, it walks you through this idea of creating a content calendar, understanding what you're promoting when, so that you can really look at 90 days and then also up to a year to know where you're going to put things in place. One of the big mistakes that I watch a lot of people make is that they will create content that has nothing to do with the product or service that they are going to try to sell. It's something that they saw on social media, looked really shiny and pretty, and they're like, oh, I want to talk about that too. I could talk about this. But is it related to what you're trying to invite them to purchase? Like, we have to think as business owners. It can't just be, I'm going to throw this up, I'm going to slap this up, I'm going to throw this spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. It needs to be strategic. So I always
Mhm.
teach my people, think of 3 big blocks of content that you have, pillars of content. What are the 3 things that you talk about? Stay in those lanes. And I will often do month 1, month 2, month 3 is pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3. And then I'll
Yeah.
go back to it so that my content is all interlinked and connected.
But we're entrepreneurs. We want to go everywhere.
You still can. And I believe me,
Uh,
I have ADHD clients that look at me and go, I can't handle you. And
mhm.
I go, well, that's where we have flexible scheduling and flexible content calendars. You have the ability to do that, but you still have a plan in mind. It's this overarching plan.
Yeah, I love it. What's your favorite email listserv?
Software that
Yeah,
I use Kits, or it used to be called ConvertKit. I've
yeah,
been with them probably, goodness, at least 10 years now, I think. It's very robust, especially if you have products or services. There are other ones out there that will do things that are similar, it's just not quite as robust. Flowdesk, Mailer Lite are great options as well. Those are the 2 that some of my clients will use. Kit just gives you the ability to see your metrics and to also have kind of these automations that show you what is happening. Where did someone
yeah.
come in and where did they go from there?
Do you know if they integrate with Stripe?
They do.
Yeah. Oh man, I found that to be the kicker is when someone purchases something, you want that integration so they get on that list for certain things, right? And I found that can be a challenge.
Yes. The biggest part where you're going to run into an issue is going to be Amazon, because Amazon, you can't get the emails, which
Yep.
is very frustrating. So, as my book was also self-published and also you can download from
Okay.
Amazon, in the book, I have included a page that invites them to grab book worksheets that go along with it so I can get the email address.
It's a good idea. I
And
like
it's an easy add. Even though you're already published, you can always add in an extra page or towards the end that invites them
that.
to this to get them onto your list. But everything else, yes, you want your email service provider to talk with the software that you're going to use in order to have them check out with cart.
Yeah, that's great. Well, is there anything that we missed that you want to make sure to mention today?
I would say that when it comes to being a business owner, that one of the hardest things I think in my book that I actually spoke about was I have a pack framework, and each letter stands for something. And the final letter is K. And K is for kindness. And I think it's not just about kindness to others, It's kindness to yourself. I know that therapists have these very big hearts and they never want to offend or feel like they are pushing. But at the same time, they want their businesses to grow and they expect things from themselves. And I think that they need to make sure that they understand that everybody's journey is different, where they are in their business and where they are trying to go. And I think if you can always just remember to give yourself some grace as you are doing this and figuring things out, because not all of us were born with a phone in our back pocket or an iPad in our lap. And because of that, technology can be more difficult. So, really giving yourself some grace and being able to just find the people that you're going to be able to connect with, that you're going to see that they are the same type of person, they really have the same values of what you're looking for, so that you can make sure that you're growing in a way that makes sense for your business.
That's great. Well, for this strategic planner, which sounds fantastic, I think I need to grab it. Tell people how they can get that planner.
Yes. So if they go to jennymelrose.com, it will be right up at the top. You'll see stop guessing, something along those lines, grab a strategic growth plan guide. That's it there. And then a little bit further down, if you are wanting to book a discovery call and talk about your business and figure out what could potentially be your next steps, that is there as an option as well.
Wonderful. Well, this has been so great. Jenny, thank you for coming on the show and sharing your expertise and letting me pick your brain too.
Yes, absolutely, Whitney. Thank you so much for having me.